Hello. Welcome to Wouldn't We Like to Know?
Hi.
Hi.
With Ariel.
And Linda. Do you remember the rest of it?
The podcast where we get honest, deep, and curious about life's big conversations.
Oh my God, you did it because we don't have to do it alone.
I did it.
You did it. I'm so proud of you.
I did it. Oh, wow.
You
what
did
a rush.
You did that one sentence alone. That was amazing, but with support.
With support.
Yeah.
Virtual support.
Virtual support. Yeah. So this is our podcast, and I'm so glad you clicked on it to listen.
Today, we're talking about a lot of things, but I would say that the through line is like inspiration through interaction. Let's just say that.
Yes.
We start off talking about celebrity crushes and people that inspire us.
Yeah.
And then we get into conversation around the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City and housewives in general. Not necessarily things that inspire Linda, but also things that do inspire me and like make my brain tick.
Mm-hmm.
And then we finish off with a really lovely interaction that Linda had on a New York City subway recently.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads us into a whole conversation around words of affirmation and how they can be incredibly powerful, kind of what we're looking for with that in the future.
Yes. So if you like what you hear, you can subscribe on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get your podcasts. We are not exclusive to any one platform. Unfortunately, we have not gotten that sweet $100 million Spotify deal.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's signing freaking podcast deals these days. The Kelsey brothers just signed one for $100 million.
Holy Jesus.
Call Her Daddy just signed one for $125 million. We're not there yet, so you can get our podcast anywhere your sweet ears want to listen to it.
Yeah.
You can also follow us on Instagram at Wouldn't We Like to Know and Tickety Talk Talk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we post videos on there. You can hear us and see us talking to each other. We also have a YouTube channel, Wouldn't We Like to Know. We post all of our podcasts on there, so you can listen to there if you'd prefer. And hello if you are listening on there. Hi.
Hi.
What else can they do, Ariel?
You can leave us a review or a rating. Review us on Apple Podcasts. You can leave a rating on Spotify. It really helps us get seen and makes us feel really good. You can also send us an email, wouldn'twelike-to-know@gmail.com. Send us some cute words of affirmation you've gotten recently. We would love to know. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. We hope you enjoy this podcast, and we will see you after the break.
See you after the break. Tell me about this note.
Yeah, I started a note in my notes app with the title Celebrity Crushes. Because I famously have a very bad memory, and I'm always like, a celebrity crush? Who is any celebrity ever, let alone someone that I have a crush on? And then it's like when someone asks, what's your favorite movie? And I'm like, have I ever seen a movie? What's a movie that I have ever seen?
Yeah, your mind just blanks. I have that experience.
Blanks.
What's your favorite song? I've never heard
music?
one.
What is music?
Sound.
Yeah.
Remind me how to talk.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was at a bachelorette party this weekend, and we were going around talking about our celebrity crushes, and I was like, and I literally texted Jeff, and I said, who are my celebrity crushes? And he sent me 4 photos. He was like, here you go. Here are your celebrity crushes. And he was spot on. Spot on.
Okay, so tell me, who are the 4?
Andrew Scott.
Okay.
Hot Priest.
Of course. Ripley.
He's in Ripley. He's in Fleabag. He's in All of Us Strangers, which we talked about last time. And I'm in love with him. Anthony from Queer Eye.
Really?
Yeah, but that's a hard one because I like simultaneously have a crush on him and then also just want to like be his best friend because he's very gay. Like he's not, so is Andrew Scott. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. But I think Anthony Moore is not acting as a straight man, whereas Andrew Scott is acts as a straight man in many play in many shows. So
the Never Gonna
Antony's
Happen
a hard one.
feels a little more clear with Andrew Scott than it does with Antony.
No, Antony, it's never gonna happen.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Because Andrew Scott's always acting like he's into ladies.
So I have a chance.
Yeah.
And then Yahya Abdul-Mateen the second. That's his full name. You would know. I think you would know his face. He was in the new Candyman.
Yeah.
And he was in the show Watchmen. He's really good. He's a great actor.
Okay.
And he's just like
let me Google.
Gorgeous. Yahya. And Yahya Abdul-Mateen. He's gorgeous and he's just like a really good actor and he's got swag. That's the thing with all of these people is that they have swag. That's like, I don't really need you to be that good looking.
Yeah.
I just need you to have swag.
Swaggy swag. Well, we've talked about this. Like what makes people attractive? Not height. Swag.
Yeah. Do you see him?
Yeah. I see how he has swag. He's not like particularly my type, but yeah, he has swag.
There's a
shirtless picture
in Candyman. He has such a good he has such good style. He just wears really cool outfits.
Yeah.
And he's a really good actor.
So the photos I'm looking at, he has really good style.
Yeah. He's a crush of mine. And John Slattery, who is a silver fox. John Slattery was in Mad Men and he's been in a bunch of other things.
Yeah.
But he's been a longtime crush of mine. And then I remembered after the fact that Charlie Day is another of my celebrity crushes. I would marry him. I would marry him.
Charlie Day.
Yeah, from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
We have very different types because I've Googled the last 3 people and I'm like, no.
The thing is that I don't have a type. All of these people are completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy for you.
So
yeah, he's cute. He's endearing. Like he's sweet.
Oh my God, but he's so funny.
Little puffy cheeks.
He's so funny. And
yeah,
I don't know.
That makes a really big difference.
He does the kitten mittens thing from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I would marry him.
I don't know the kitten mittens, but I think he kind of looks like Jeff.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I think it's something about their face. Like Jeff kind of has like wider cheeks.
Maybe.
And so does Charlie Day.
They're both white men with beards. With facial hair.
But I didn't say that about John Slattery.
Because John Slattery is a silver fox. He has silver hair.
Okay, but like I don't think he looks like Jordan.
Who?
Jeff or Charlie Day, and they're all white men sometimes with facial hair.
I just don't think that they do look alike, but that's okay.
That's okay.
It's fine, but they don't. Yeah.
It's
Who
fine,
are your celebrity crushes?
They do. We've talked about it before. Matt Bomer is one of them. That's an easy one for me. I don't know. I think I'm kind of having the same thing that you had when you were talking about it with the group. Like, I've never met a celebrity before. I mean, Bradley Cooper, super cute. Now I'm just thinking about people I've seen in the neighborhood because I'm trying to
you don't have
find
to see
a way
them in person.
Right, but I'm having a hard time of thinking who are celebrities that I've had a crush on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, growing up, my celebrity crushes, that's easy to remember.
I know who it is.
Yeah, Clay Aiken.
Right.
Let's not talk about that. I was so in love with him. And then Zac Efron was a big one. I had a crush on Jesse McCartney for like a minute.
Okay.
That was a short-lived one though. And then like David Archuleta.
You were into singers.
And gay guys. Yeah.
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 Gay singers.
Gay singers.
That's your type.
I mean, Jesse McCartney's not gay, but that was short-lived.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And Zac Efron's not gay, and he's an actor, but he also does sing. Yeah, so that was ages 8 through 18.
29. Okay.
Last year. Yeah, I've been like madly in love with Zac Efron for the last 15 years. No, that's not true. Yeah, I mean, I guess I just don't think about celebrity crushes very often. Like, definitely Matt Bomber. That was college. That was big for me in college.
Mm-hmm.
I did a play in college and kind of used him as my substitution. I loved White Collar. Yeah, I can't think of anyone as of late that I've seen
Well, we'll have to keep the
that I'm
people
kind of obsessed
updated.
with. Yeah. I'll have to really take a good peek into the insides of my brains and pull out the people that I've clearly
Mm-hmm.
tucked way back in there, because I'm sure there are people
Yeah.
who are on that list. I just can't currently bring them to the forefront. Yeah.
We'll find them.
We'll find them.
Well, and then I had celebrity girl crushes.
Oh yeah. Tell me
So
who's on
they're
that
on the
list.
list too. The thing is that I like it's an ever growing list. And so I feel funny even saying it because it feels like these people are more important than other people, but I know that I will think of other people. But right now on my list is Sienna Miller.
Okay.
Love that bitch. She has great style.
Mm.
She has a house in the Cotswolds in England, and I watched a YouTube video of her like doing a tour of her home, and I'm like, oh,
Was it
incredible.
for AD or
I
something of
think
that
so.
sort? Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. And then Haley Atwell, who is such a good actor,
Do I know
such
who
a
that
good
is?
actor. She's in, I think she's most well known for Captain America, but she's in a lot of like period pieces, like British
Okay.
period pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen her in something before. I'm not sure what, but yes.
She's great. She was in a
Yeah.
really good episode of Black Mirror
Okay.
that I enjoyed.
What are things you love about her?
She's an incredible actress.
Mm-hmm.
I actually would look to her as like an inspiration, like a type that I thought that I could play to an extent.
Yeah.
She's such a good actor. She's just like good at so many things, and she has such like a deep well of emotion. But I think she's also like single. Like I never see her with guys, which is it is what it is. But I find something about that really cool that I think she's in her 40s, like
42. Yeah, I'm
42.
looking at her Wikipedia right now.
And that like she just seems like very cool and doing her own thing. And I just think she's beautiful. And she's a fan of My Dad Wrote a Porno, and she was on one of their episodes of like fan episodes. And she came on
Cool.
and talked about it. And I was like, she just seems cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so she's on the list. Who else?
Those are the two that I have written down. And
Okay.
then there are about 1,000. I feel like I have more girl crushes than guy crushes in like a platonic way, but I
Yeah.
also want to like skin them and wear them. But I don't
Yeah, in
remember.
a super platonic way.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are so many others, but again, my mind is like, what's a person? What's a celebrity? Who's
Mhm.
anybody? But it was funny because I asked Jeff who my celebrity crushes are, and he sent all these photos like right away, and it was amazing and hilarious and completely correct. And then I said, who are my girl crushes? And he was like, that's harder because I feel like you talk more about your magnetic moms
Okay.
than you do about like celebrity girl crushes, which for anybody listening in To Be Magnetic, the manifestation workshop that Linda and I do, they have what they call magnetic moms, magnetic dads, your magnetic parents. So like people that you kind of could see as a great substitution for a parent. Like
Mhm.
in an ideal world, they like provide certain things that you would want a parent to provide.
Things maybe that you missed in your childhood that you needed that you didn't receive. Yeah.
Yeah. And they talk about how they can change, and sometimes they are your real parents, or sometimes they're people that you know, or people in a TV show, anything like that. So, yeah, it was funny. Jeff was like, you talk more about your magnetic moms than you do about girl crushes.
Mm.
And so, one of my magnetic moms is Julie Walters, who was in she's so good. She is Mrs. Weasley in the Harry Potter
Mhm.
series,
Mhm.
and she was in Billy Elliot, and she's incredible. She's one of my magnetic moms. And then freaking Sandy from one of the hosts from the Great British Baking Show. She's no
Oh, yeah,
longer
yeah.
a host,
Okay.
but like
Yeah.
she was just so sweet and funny. And whenever she had to tell someone that they were leaving, she'd be like, this is very difficult. Like,
Oh.
I'm so sad to say goodbye. And she'd like tear up at these people leaving.
Oh.
And she's also, I think, Danish.
Mhm.
She's like British and Scandinavian of some sort, so checks a lot of boxes for me. I love
Mm.
Scandinavia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, those are good magnetic moms. I feel like look at my magnetic moms, even as you're saying this, in like my girl crushes, and potentially, well, not right now, but I look at people a lot in my real life that I don't necessarily know very well, but are adjacent to me. Like I feel like I don't watch that much TV anymore these days.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for me to think of like celebrities or people like in the public eye that I feel that way about, but like my therapist is the one person that I really think of when I think of my magnetic mom. Like my
Mm.
therapist is major on that list. And then when I think of like girl crushes, I mean, it's also just really recent in my mind, but I work at a comedy theater part time, and one of our comedians was doing like stand up, and I was editing a video of this person, and they go by they, them. So I don't know if it's not a girl crush. I don't know
It's a
how that
crush.
works. It's a crush, but like a platonic crush. Or I was like, this
Mm-hmm.
person is so funny. Wow. Made me giggle so hard. It just felt like, oh my gosh, I platonically have a crush on this person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it feels more like immediate to be around me. But I think that's just because I haven't been watching TV. So I have
Mm-hmm.
less reference points for like Jordan Childs is on that list. We talked about her a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Totally have a girl crush on her. Yeah, my world has been like the Olympics and then just my immediate surroundings. I've been
That's
watching
allowed.
The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City at Ariel's recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't have a girl crush on any of those girls. They're
I was
crazy.
wondering where you were going with this. Yeah.
No girl crushes there. They're all a little batshit. I definitely have ones that are more favorites than others. Like Jen Shaw, if she left my TV screen for the rest of my life, I would be very fine with that. Like if I could just cut her out of the show. She's a toxic person.
There's so much to say that I cannot say
Well,
because you haven't made it far enough for me to say anything to you.
but she's out after the first season, right?
No.
But
Nope.
after the first season is when she became a felon, potentially.
No.
That's
Yes,
after.
yes, after the first season, but not right after the first season.
Oh, okay. So we get to see some of that on the second season.
Uh,
She's trying not to spoil. She's trying not to spoil. Okay. We'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. I'm aware that
Oof.
she's now in prison. That's all
She's
I
in
know.
prison. I
Yeah.
think she's in the same prison as Elizabeth Holmes.
I think there was
Theranos.
a picture of them next to each other.
Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I
That's
have a lot to say. I can't say it.
Well, I can't wait till you are able to say it. We can talk about it once I finish. But honestly, I've stopped it many times and been like, I don't know if I can finish this because it's too toxic. Like my nervous system is running
Jen
through the roof.
Jen Shaw. I'm not a doctor. There is a chemical imbalance or like a
Yeah.
personality disorder. There is something
I
there.
googled a couple things because
Yeah.
I had the exact same thought. I was like, this is diabolical. Like there's something
Yeah.
really wrong here.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's the kind of
Not
person where if you
I don't
bring
mean
something
to
up to
insult.
her, like when you did this, it hurt my feelings, she'll be like, well, what about my feelings? Did you ever think about what I've gone through? And then she'll start crying about like her past and all of these things. And it's like, oh, well, we're not doing that right now. We're not doing that right
Well,
now.
to me, it's the placing blame on other people for doing things. Like in this first season, she got into a fight with her husband. Like her husband didn't talk to her for 3 days or something like that
Mm-hmm.
after she like absolutely lost her shit at a party. And then she blamed one of the other women
Yeah.
for this demise in her marriage. And I'm like, honey, boo boo, she didn't do that to you.
Yeah.
You got issues in your marriage. Like,
Yes.
that you gotta work out your marriage. Like, your husband didn't talk to you for 3 days. Sounds like there's something really wrong in your marriage. Like,
Yes. And
what?
like what have you done to potentially incur this? Or like if you haven't done anything, I don't think you can blame someone outside of your marriage for making your husband do something.
Well,
Yeah.
just
No, she does that all the time.
your husband didn't talk to you for 3 days. That's wild. Something's
Yeah.
really wrong here with his communication style. The fact that he shut down, didn't talk to you for 3 days, and then comes home, like,
Well, I also have
there's
to say, I
really
don't know
deep
how much
problems
you
here.
have watched yet. Okay, he is actually like incredibly in touch with himself and a very like religious man, which maybe doesn't mean anything. It might not mean anything, but like in terms of him, from what I have seen in the show, he has a very real sense of what's right and what's wrong and like what like wanting to help other people and do things for other people and like getting in touch with his feelings. And I'm like, what are you doing with this woman? And so that's a red flag to me. I don't
Mm.
know that he's 100% in the clear. I don't think you can like, there are two people in a marriage and only one of them can be blamed. But from what I have seen of his behavior and the way that he speaks to other people and when he's like there on the reunion stage and everything, he's like
Mhm.
incredibly insightful.
Interesting.
So going away for 3 days, I don't agree with it, but I'm also like, I don't know. I feel bad saying this, but I'm like, if you're married to someone like Jen Shaw, whenever you try to have a conversation,
Right.
she starts screaming and threatens things.
But I don't think the solution to that is disappearing for 3 days. Like,
I
you're
don't
not in
either.
the right there.
No, I don't agree with that either. But between the two of them, he has his head on his shoulders much more than she does.
Yeah, and I think the thing about this that's the craziest to me is the fact that she blamed this other woman for
Yeah.
this demise in her marriage. Like, regardless of how this marriage works, like, that's an insane thing. That's an insane thing to
Yeah.
blame someone for. Like,
Yeah.
that's not what happened. Somebody this woman, like, brought something to her that she thought she should know, and it was horrible timing. Like, that
Yeah.
it was, like, at her husband's birthday party. Like, you don't do that, but I'm sure, like, this other girl, like, seems to be quite well-intentioned. She
Hmm.
she does seem to have, like, a good I don't think she thought she was gonna, like
Who was it? Whitney?
Whitney Rose, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Whitney.
She
Yeah.
doesn't it didn't seem like it was, like, a diabolical thing for her to do. And then for her to be like, "Yeah, it's your fault." And the other girls are saying it too, like, what's her name? The woman who owns the beauty
Heather.
Heather was like, "Well,
Well, Heather is like,
you have to understand that, like, she's now
yeah.
having this issue in her marriage because" and it's like, "No, that's not how this works."
There's so much with Heather too, Heather and Jen, that I can't
Yeah.
even tell you
Which
everything
one's
about
Jen?
right now.
Oh, Jen. Yeah,
Jen
yeah,
Shaw.
yeah. Yeah.
Heather is
I can't even keep their names
basically,
right. How am I supposed to think
yeah,
of my girl crush when I can't even remember the names of the characters on the TV show I've seen 10 episodes of?
it's a lot. It's a
It's a
lot.
lot.
Heather is like in an abusive relationship with Jen. She is like groomed by her to like go along with whatever Jen says, no matter what. And there's a lot there. There's a
Yeah.
lot there.
And the other woman, Lisa and
Lisa Barlow and then Mary Cosby.
oh, well, Mary Cosby's just, like, not in the
She's her
show
own
much
thing.
anymore.
She's doing her own thing.
After I feel like the 2nd or 3rd episode, they just never film with her again.
She'll be back.
Okay,
She'll be back. Don't
okay.
worry.
There was just, like, a series of 6 episodes where it's just, like, Mary Cosby in her house with her shoes,
Yeah.
and the other girls are off doing things, and she's still just in her house with her shoes,
Yeah.
and then she's at her church telling the choir to sing better.
Yeah.
Just
Saying like, I am God.
essentially, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all wild. Yeah.
It is all wild. Yeah. No, Jen Shaw is 1,000%. She's hard to watch.
Yeah.
She's hard to watch. And I have to say, to an certain extent, in season 2 and season 3, there's a certain amount of like, ooh, finally.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. You got to watch it. Part of the housewives that I enjoy, and I think we've talked about this a little bit, but like looking at the social dynamics
Mm.
of a group
Yeah.
and like what is this person bringing to the group and what's this person bringing to the group and like what is the interaction going on. And I feel like this is a very lofty thing to say, but I feel like it helps me recognize things, like recognize behavior a little bit better. Like I can be like, oh, this is what this person that I know does. or, oh,
Oh,
this
yeah.
is really unhealthy behavior. And if only they could say something in this way, then it would shift the way that they're interacting with the people around them. And then there are times in the show where somebody will bring something up in an incredibly like intentional and vulnerable way, and it has a great outcome. And that's when I'm like, oh, humanity. And it's silly, but that's one of the reasons I like it. Obviously, there's
Yeah.
so many moments of the show where it's just like, this is batshit crazy. Everything is crazy right now. But I also find that I relate to some of the girls. There are definitely people in like each of the franchises where I'm like, she's like the sane one. She's
Uh-huh.
the one, and like this is the one that I would hang out with, that like is potentially a little more work, but she's also like hilarious and like brings a lot to the table and she has a good heart. She just doesn't know what she's doing. And that's like the aspect of it that I enjoy.
Yeah. Yeah. It is very interesting to see the dynamics of the group and to see from a bird's eye perspective, because you're not involved, like how different things that people say affect people differently and their
Mhm.
histories and their triggers and
Yeah.
different coping mechanisms. And yeah, it is fascinating. I think you have to
Mhm.
be able to like fully pull yourself out and see it from that bird's eye view to really be able to enjoy it, because if you're in the middle of a dynamic that is being mirrored on the show, it doesn't feel so much as entertainment. It feels more just like, oh shit, like this isn't fun anymore. Turn it off, turn it off. But if you can
Yeah.
like fully be that bird's eye, then it's fascinating.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's good or bad or neutral that I watch, but it is funny because like in my day-to-day life, I am 0% in drama. Like I
Yeah.
am not. If there's someone who's disrespecting me and I feel like we're not going to get anywhere, here's a boundary for you. Like
Mm,
I don't it does not mirror my life
at
in
all.
any way,
Yeah.
but I think that there's something to like the escapism idea, and like I am not in conflict that often. Like if I am, it's going to be as intentional as I can make it, and I have tools, but I think that there's something about like watching these people that it like for an hour once a week I can be like, "Oh, this like fulfills something in my brain that needs to get tickled."
Hmm.
And I don't know if that's good or bad or what, but I like it.
I think as long as it doesn't affect your nervous system and it doesn't make you feel any kind of way and you're fully removed from it, then like let it be.
Yeah.
Don't think don't think too hard
And
about
I
it.
have.
And you
And I
have.
have.
And you do.
Yeah. And I have like my like group text message groups where I'm like, Real Housewives of Orange County, did you see what so and so did? What did you think about when this happened? Do you think that these people are going to stay together? This relationship
Mhm.
is like, we have the thing, like, I have my people that we text about the dynamics of the show.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's
And
fun
it,
too.
yeah.
Something that I wanted to share on the podcast today is that I was crying on the train the other day. This was like a very heartwarming story. I don't know if I told you this when we were on the phone before, but yeah, I was crying. So I was crying on the train the other day, as you do. Like that's part of living in New York. You
Mm-hmm.
cry in public. When I first moved to the city, it was something that was self-conscious. Like I would be aware of people being around when I was just like absolutely bawling my eyes out. And when I was on the train the other day, I was crying about something and I kind of clocked that somebody like noticed that I was crying, but I didn't really think twice about it. And I think it's like a sign that I've gotten very used to being in New York because I was like pretty fully crying, not really fully aware that I was crying, and definitely not really fully aware that I was around other people. Like just no level of self consciousness around it. And I was really upset about something. And the man was getting off of the train, and before he did, like, he got to his stop and he stood up and he, like, walked over by the door, and I was sitting right next to the door, and he showed me his phone, and I was like, "Ugh, what the f what?" And so I looked up at him and I was like, and I read it and I'm like, "Oh, maybe he wants directions." It's because it's a Google Translate
Oh.
window. So I start reading the Google Translate window and it says, very badly translated by Google Translate, but it said, like, "Sorry for being so reckless."
Mm.
And then I started scanning because I was like, "Oh god, what's this gonna say?" And I kinda skipped to the end, so I didn't really get the full middle of it, but then it said, "I noticed, like, I couldn't help but noticing your tears, and I hope that you get somewhere safe and get a hug from someone you trust."
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
An angel.
an angel. I mean, it's probably one of, like, I've experienced a lot of kindness from strangers in the city, but I think that takes the cake as the
Mm.
kindest thing a stranger has ever done for me in the city, because it just was so, it was so wholesome, it was so, like, emotionally intelligent.
Mhm.
I was like, "Who raised you?" Because whoever raised you did a good job, and you're doing a good job with you, like, and whoever
Yeah.
you raise, whatever that looks like for you, is so lucky because you are so, like, you're an angel.
Mhm.
Just the, like,
And also, like, the extra barrier of translating from whatever his
yeah,
original language was.
yeah.
Like, that's huge.
There were so many layers of it. I just felt so, him being like, "I hope you get somewhere safe, get a hug from someone you
Mhm.
trust."
Yeah. Ugh.
Like, this man didn't, like, get in my face, he wasn't, like, trying to hug me himself, like, it was so
Yeah.
selfless. It was just like, "I want you to know that I see you, and here's some also really wise instruction. Like, go somewhere where
Mhm.
you are safe, go somewhere where you have someone where you trust, like, and I hope that you can have that." Angel.
Yeah.
And that made me cry so much harder. He
Oh.
got off the train, and then I was bawling because I was just like, "I
Oh.
cannot believe that just happened."
Did you say anything to him or
No, because I was trying to process what I was reading,
Mhm.
and then he was getting off. So I didn't
Mm.
have a chance to say anything. I just kind of put my hand on my heart and looked up at him, and I was like, that's kind of how I communicated, "Thank you." But then once he
Mhm.
was gone, I was just like, "Wait, come back, Angel." Like,
Oh, that's so sweet and so
yeah,
special.
it was so special. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
I love that.
yeah. And it was also just fascinating noticing the change in myself from 8 years ago when I first moved to the city, being, like, self-conscious about crying in public, and then to the point where I didn't even really realize I was crying. Like,
Yeah.
this man noticing that I was crying and clocking it was the thing that really, like, I didn't think really twice about it. That was the thing that made me realize I was actually crying and other people could see me,
Mm. Yeah.
which is,
Well, yeah. I mean, living in New York, living in a big city is so interesting because I think you can just become so, I don't know, what's the right word? What's the word that I'm thinking of? Just so used to everything. Like you can
mm,
become numb to certain things and sometimes that's
desensitized?
a yeah, desensitized is a great word. You become desensitized to so many things and like so many people that are hurting or in pain or
Yeah,
need help on the street or whatever it is
yeah,
and sometimes that's a bad thing but also sometimes that's a good thing that like you felt comfortable enough to an extent to just
yeah,
like let yourself feel exactly what you were feeling at that moment
yeah,
and that you were given this gift of like being exactly where you were and someone like meeting you exactly where you were with such a lovely message
yeah.
and like he was paying attention.
Yeah, he really was.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I've literally seen the things I've seen in New York, and the things people are so desensitized to in New York are, like, I've literally walked past a man who was dead, and I was the only one who clocked that he had was
Mhm.
potentially no longer alive, and he had been there for a while.
Mhm.
Like, people just don't mind my own business.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, very desensitized.
which I think is necessary to an
Yes.
extent. Like
Especially as a woman to
that's
stay safe. I think.
yes.
Yeah.
To stay safe, but also for your nervous system. If there's
Mhm.
so much freaking stimuli there that if you are attuned to everything going on around you, you will go insane. Like you will go crazy. You will have no energy to put anywhere else. And again, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I feel like all this stuff, it's like I don't know
Yeah.
if there is a good or a bad or a neutral or any like spin to put on it. But
I mean, I don't think it's healthy. Like it feels like a necessary evil. Like you have to do it in order to stay sane, but it is not healthy to not pay attention to all these things that are like to compartmentalize that strongly. That doesn't feel like the ideal, you know?
yeah. And then what is the solution? Is the solution to like live in the country around no one else and just like
Mhm.
interact with the people in your immediate surroundings? Like, I don't know if that's the.
Might be mine. Might be my
I
solution.
mean,
Yeah,
maybe,
I don't
maybe
know.
that's the solution.
It does make it really hard. Like I've never felt lonelier than I have in the past in New York City. Like there's so many people around, but like nobody is paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are really self-focused, and I think that that's obviously not just in New York City, but like being in like such a large crowd of people and being like, "Damn, I feel so alone right now." You know,
Mm-hmm.
it just like it focuses like makes the feeling even bigger because you realize like, oh, there's all these people around, but like there's a lack of community
Mm-hmm. And connection.
and connection. Yeah. Which makes it really hard. But there's also so many magical things about the city. And it is like wonderful to be able to be it's a huge growth for me to be able to fully be myself, to feel my feelings and just be like, I don't really care. I don't care if I'm bothering someone because I'm crying. I don't care what they think of me. I'm just going to exist and like right now I need to cry and so I'm just going to cry.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, but regardless, that was a really good experience on the train that I had. And
Mm-hmm.
I felt very seen and safe in that interaction and that was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a sweet man.
Yeah.
I think I've told you this before, but my Anthony, who was on the podcast a
Mhm.
while ago, he would say sometimes, he was like, sometimes I think like someone will say something to me and I'm like, God, is that you? Like
Mhm.
specifically, we have this one friend that's really silly, but like sometimes he would say things that sound very like prophetic and very like present. And he'd be like, Are you talking to me, God, through this human being? And whether you believe in God or not, or the universe, whatever the fuck, some sort of higher power. I think that there are moments where someone says something to you or does something, and you're like, oh, is that like God? Is that you, God? Giving me something I need right now? Talking to me right now?
Mm.
Saying this thing to me? So that makes me think of that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it did really feel like we obviously talk a lot about TBM and like the universe and I believe in some sort of higher power and I do believe that that higher power speaks through manifestations and speaks through triggers and speaks through rock bottoms to us, but often like not usually in words. And so that felt very pointed because I really
Mm-hmm.
did need to hear that. And I was like, wow, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I want to say this? Last, like November, I was having a really hard time and I'd been living in Kansas City for a few months at the time. And I was just feeling like, what am I doing? Who am I? All the things. And
Mm.
this woman that I had like interacted with just like a little bit, like we would say hi and whatever. We would say hi. And one day she came up to me and I was kind of having a weird day, a weird morning. And she like turned me towards her and like held my arms like very gently. And she was like, Ariel, you're so beautiful on the inside and the outside. And I was like, God. Like, that was the kind of moment that I was like, oh
Mm.
my, wow. Like I just didn't, I guess that's what I needed right now. I don't know. I don't know what I needed, but the fact that like this woman that barely knows me, but like we have this tiny interaction once in a while, I was like, oh my gosh,
Mm.
that's so nice.
That's so nice.
Yeah.
I feel like I often, I don't know if that's, if it can feel awkward to, I don't know if it happens that often to me, but it can feel awkward to like say really kind things to people sometimes, to like take a moment to say something really kind. It doesn't even necessarily feel kind, but it's just like a selfless compliment like that, to like take someone to turn them towards you and to be like, you're beautiful on the inside and the outside.
Mm-hmm.
That takes a moment of like intention and vulnerability to be like, I see
Mm-hmm.
you and I see this thing about you. And it can feel awkward sometimes to be like, to do that for people. Like, do people really even need to hear that? Like, am I being extra? Like, what am I like? Yeah, that's kind of, those are the things that sometimes go through my mind. But
Mm-hmm.
like, we do need to hear those things. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can be this voice of like God, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that looks like for you, to someone else of like, wow, I really needed to hear that. Like this man on the train could have easily noticed and been like, "Oh, I hope she gets a hug from someone she trusts." But he took that second step to say that thing to me, and that's the thing that made the impact on me, and I really needed to hear that. And same with this woman. And I don't know. I think I'd like to do more of that. I recently today like someone showed me a picture and I was like, "Wow, you look really pretty." And she was like, "Oh, wow, thank you." Like it
Mm.
meant a lot to her.
Yeah.
And I think it made her feel really pretty, and she was like, "You're really pretty." And I was like, "Thanks. That's really nice." But yeah, it was more about like, wow, it like the way that it hit her, just me saying that, and I just meant it. Like she looked really pretty. Like sometimes just saying that like extra thing or like complimenting someone's outfit or complimenting something kind you saw someone do, it can make a really big difference in like how they feel, and they maybe really needed to hear that. And I think just taking that extra step to say the things that you notice is
Mm-hmm.
really powerful.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
get that.
Whenever that kind of thing happens to me, I'm like, oh, I want to do that for other people too. And I feel like it
Yeah.
like puts my antenna up to like look for moments where I can do it in
Mm.
like a very authentic way. I don't want to like go around to every single person that I see and construct something. I want it to be like, oh, this is a thing that I'm thinking and I just want to like say it out loud to them.
Yeah.
And I wonder, I think sometimes it's a thing for me and maybe this is common for other people, but I think that there are times where I will think something and I'll be like, "Oh, I bet that this person hears that all the time." Like
Right.
they don't need me to say it. But like what if they don't?
I don't wanna
And like
bother them, like
yeah, I don't want to bother them or maybe there is a part where it's like, well, I don't want to come off disingenuous or I don't want to come off like I'm trying to like suck up to them or get something from them. But if it's really just like a thought from inside of myself where it's like, you know what, you're really good at this or like you're really talented at this thing or like I really like your style, whatever it is, like maybe they don't hear it often and maybe they deserve to. I think words of affirmation, I think for myself, I grew up hearing words of affirmation that didn't feel like they were
mm,
not like they weren't real, but they felt a little forced
mhm,
words of affirmation versus like now if someone really knows me or if they don't really know me but they see something in me like this woman and they say it and it feels like it comes from like a deeper part of themselves then I'm like, oh, I can hear that. Like, I can
Yeah.
accept that from you. But I think that there was a certain amount of like growing up where you're just like, oh, you look so cute. Your outfit's so cute. This, that. And it just becomes like this rote thing that people say, or, your parents love you, but I feel like parents, it's like, you're so smart and so kind and so this and so that. And it doesn't mean it's not true, but it gets to the point where it feels like repetitive and not necessarily like in the moment. Like it doesn't feel completely true in the moment.
Which probably doesn't make you feel very seen. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel like you don't feel authentically seen, and so, like, I think that's the thing that really needs to be true in that moment is, like, for someone to feel authentically seen and to be authentically seen.
Mhm. Yeah.
That makes the big difference. Like, if it's yeah, if there's, like, a hard edge on it or, like, it's not fully I know what you're saying of, like, somebody just says this thing all the time, and it kind of feels like it's supposed to be a compliment, but it kind of feels like there's a bit of an emptiness to it. Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't hit the same way as when you feel like, "Oh, wow, this is, like I feel seen for who I am. I feel like this is really genuine and really authentic." That
Yeah.
just hits different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even recently, I had a friend that amongst a group that asked for some words of affirmation, and like
Mm.
we were so excited to give it. Like we were so excited, and I think that there was a little bit of like nervousness on their behalf to ask, and we were like, we can hype you up. Like where let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's sign up for this.
Um,
And
well, I was gonna say you did that.
I asked for it, yeah, back in
Yeah.
November. I
Yeah.
asked for it, and it was great. I'm really glad that I asked for it because I needed it.
Yeah.
But I also at this point, like I try to give it when I feel like when either it feels like it's coming from me or when it feels like this person really needs to like hear this thing. But I also like I want people to ask, like I want for I don't want it to be weird for somebody to say like, "Hey, can you tell me what you like about me?" Or
Mm.
like, what's something you would admire about me? Or what do you think these things are that I'm good at? Or whatever it is. I think that we're taught to be humble. And I think being humble is great. But I also think that that's not being humble. Like
Mhm.
understanding to a greater degree, like the people that really know you, what it is they like about you and what it is they see in you and you can't see it in yourself. Like I think that that's really important.
I've experienced a kind of a disconnect between that and I sometimes feel like I need like words of affirmation is my number one love language. So I really need to hear words reflected back at me. And I've kind of had these experiences where I feel like I'm supposed to not need that. I feel like
Mm,
I'm supposed to be self-confident on my own and be sure of myself, and I'm not allowed to need words of affirmation from other people. And I've struggled with that, and I've had other people make me feel like that before.
mm,
Of like, "Well, why do you need to hear that? Like, you should feel that way on your own."
mm,
But I think that's, like, not true. I mean, it's not true for me anyway, like, this lie that I'm just supposed to be, like, exist in a vacuum or in a silo, like, without needing anything from anyone else, and I think it's important, and, like, being able to ask for that is so powerful because you're saying, like, "Hey, I actually can't do this on my own. I do need other people," and I'm not asking it for it, like, from the internet, I'm asking for it from people that really know me and say they love me, and I'm in deep relationship with. Like, I think it's important to be able to ask for what you need and to allow other people to build you up when you feel down.
mhm,
But yeah, I've like struggled with that before where I'm like, well, I want to be self-confident. Like, shouldn't I feel all those things about myself and like believe all those things about myself at all times and like not need those things from other people? Like
Yeah.
that should be the goal, and that shouldn't be the goal. Like
No.
I don't like that. Like I
No.
wanna need other people and I wanna be in community and I don't want to like do everything on my own. And sometimes I feel like I do have to do it on my own. I don't want to feel that way.
No.
Yeah.
And I also think that it says a lot about another person if you ask for that and they say, "Why do you need that? Like you shouldn't need that." Like obviously that's
Yeah.
not a great response to receive, especially when you're in a spot that feels like you're already feeling that insecurity or that like scared feeling inside where it's like, "Well, who am I to you?" You know? Yeah. So I think like knowing that that's a thing that you need is super important too. And I would venture to guess that everyone needs it. I just think that there are degrees to which certain people can take it in.
Yeah.
Again, because I think that sometimes there can be very hollow compliments and messages towards us, but if it's from somebody that really sees us, I think it makes a total difference.
Yeah.
And also, a friend, oh, I know who said it, but a friend said recently that the way the people around you should see you in a way that like terrifies you to an extent. Like, and that sounds crazy, but like they think that you're capable of so much that it's like a little scary. Like
Mm.
that's how it should feel, where it's like, of course you can do that thing.
Yeah.
Like you're so talented at this and this and this. Like, of course.
Yeah. They should like see that next higher version of you, like that next iteration of that version of you, like that you sometimes don't always hold vision for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, yeah, when sometimes people will say things to me and I'm like, oh, okay. Like when my therapist suggested something business wise for me to like set a goal about. And I was like, oh my God,
Right.
Tiffany. But then I was like, I could do that if I wanted to. And I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, that's all I needed was just like
Yeah.
somebody to push it a little,
Right. Right.
somebody to say it.
Right. I want to be surrounded with more people who I feel that way about, who make me feel like that are just built into my life, who I feel really grounded and secure around and safe with and can have like healthy dynamics with and be able to ask for things that I need and that make me feel built up and seen and expanded and inspired and like and I'd like to do that for those people as well. Like I want that to be reciprocal. But I'm
Yeah.
really manifesting more of that in my life right now and specifically like built in is how I'll put it. Like people that are, living with me, around me in my everyday life and
Yeah.
more of that built into a deeper community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's a great goal.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like I'm going to write that down as a thing to look for, to have more of.
Yeah.
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 To intentionally look for that.
And like fill your time more with those people versus people that maybe don't have that. People that are fine, people that are great,
Yeah.
but maybe don't have that greater vision in mind.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we end it there?
Yeah, we should end it there.
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone, wishing you a wonderful couple of weeks. We'll see ya.
Two of them
See ya
exist.
after that.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.